Hello, welcome back to our series on international VAT on travel expenses. In this second episode of our series, we are going to focus on the travel policy and how important it is in relation to VAT recovery. I still have Damian Moras with me. Hello, Damian.
Hello, Corinne.
You mentioned to me in a recent conversation that for you, the travel policy is really a strategic lever for VAT recovery. Can you explain us why?
To be able to reclaim VAT and to deduct VAT on travel expenses, you need to get compliant documents, so compliant invoices basically. And of course, the travel policy that a company can apply to its travelers has a strong impact on that because it shapes how the travelers are traveling, how they are collecting documents, invoices, etc. And this is, of course, having a direct impact on the potential of VAT that a company can recover. Another example that where travel policy can impact the VAT is on the selection of the suppliers and partners that a company will use during the travel, of course, because depending on the agreement they make and the processes they put in place, this will definitively help the collection of compliant documents and therefore the recovery of VAT. So of course, building good travel policies, so VAT-friendly travel policies, can be very efficient for the company and can secure a lot of VAT recovery.
So Damien, what should companies pay attention to when defining or updating their travel policy then?
The most important point they need to focus is to think how the policy will help them getting compliant documents, compliant invoices, to secure as much VAT as possible, without creating too much work at the same time. So they need to find the right balance between both. That's very important. Collecting compliant documents is different also depending on the countries where they have the travel expenses, because if you take the example of Spain, in Spain for whatever VAT you want to deduct, doesn't matter the amount, you need to collect a full compliant invoice, including the NIF, so the VAT number of the company inside the invoice, which is not the case in other countries, for example. So you need to find a good balance between rules and, of course, cost of applying the rules, and also to put the rules, to think which rules will fit the right needs in the right countries.
And I'm assuming that technology and data as well can help with this, right?
Yeah, of course, the data, of course, nowadays it's perfect because it helps a lot to first define the travel policy, but also monitor the efficiency of the decisions that have been taken in the travel policy. So how can it help to define? Well, with the data now, with systems that are capable to calculate instantly where are the VAT potentials, in which area, in which categories, etc., you can refine better your travel policy and take maybe different decisions, different rules. And then what's great is that you can also check the results of these actions. So with the data, we can literally see if the VAT amounts recovered have improved thanks to the adjustment of the travel policy. I have a perfect example recently where a customer of us who was losing a lot of VAT in transportation, taxis, car rental, right? Because thanks to the data, we could quantify how much VAT was potentially lost, and therefore advise them to build with procurement. So it's not a tax topic; it's also a procurement topic. To build a corporate contract with a travel app that help them to use their corporate account when they travel, when they take a taxi or transportation car.
And so they get automatically the data
exactly. So basically,
through the expense tool.
Exactly. So in the end, in your phone, instead to use your private account, use your corporate account, and this easily secure. It's just one click that can easily secure, of course, the collection of a compliant document. And to implement that, the data is very helpful because you know the VAT engaged behind that to see if it's worse or not. spending time with procurement to negotiate these kind of contracts.
I mean, it's so good to have a good travel policy, but how do you make sure that travelers actually comply with it and really do the right steps to give you the documents?
So that's a classical important point, of course, because it's good to have a policy. It needs to be applied. If it's a policy, it's for something. And at the same time, you need to motivate the travelers to make sure that they respect as much as possible the policy. So first of all, as I mentioned before, they need to understand the policy and they need to understand why the policy exists. But secondly, it's key to try at least to make simple rules. So we need to understand what is important for the company to really highlight in the policy, to make less rules, but that are very clear to employees, and that they can apply them confidently all the time. And as everything, it's better to have less rules, but to be very strict on those rules than having too many rules and then to have sometimes rules.
Make exceptions.
Exactly, makes exception. That's clear.
Now, talking more about long-term VAT compliance, how should travel policies and rules help with this long-term compliance?
Well, nowadays it's a mix of travel policy, technology, I think. So in the end, you need to have the good travel policy, the right technology to be able to monitor the respect and the efficiency of your travel policy. And nowadays, you have we have a lot of customers who are checking almost live or in a very periodical way their dashboards or reports to monitor actually the efficiency of the travel policy changes they make, and they are able to really monitor in a live way the impact of the changes of the travel policy in the VAT that is being recovered by the company. But as a general, I think it's important to really say again that as a general advice, I think it's key to make travel policies simple, understandable, and to think them global. Okay, so to take different country approaches to unify and to harmonize a bit things in a travel policy.
So thank you, Damian, for these great insights, as
You're welcome.
always. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you soon for the next episode of our series. Bye.